Back on Inside Tennessee, our guest this morning is Knox County Mayor Glenn Jacobs. Again, Susan.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Advance Knox, and you had a few little issues that you ran into, but I guess all's well that ends well. But talk about that and where we are moving in the next few years.
Well, it's not ended yet. It's actually phase one. We're redoing all of the county's land use policies. We have a housing crisis here in Knox County. There's really one across the country, but when the median house price in Knox County is $425,000, we're pricing people out of the market. And it's also going to impact our economic development, because nowadays it used to be the companies would be like, oh, do you have the site? Do you have the building? Now it's, do you have the talent? Do you have the workforce? Do you have places for people to live?
Yeah.
So what we were trying to achieve with Advance Knox was more housing to hopefully reduce the price in the market, at the same time preserving our open areas, which is very important to people. And I think that we're able to do that through the Advance Knox process. What Advance Knox really did, though, is told where can you build stuff. Now we get into what can you build in those areas, which that will be addressed with a unified development ordinance. That will be actually a longer process. It'll probably take 18 months to get that through.
And what happens in phase two? When you get
that's the UDO, that's Unified Development.
And historically, Farragut, which is incorporated and you don't control, so to speak, as the county mayor, they've been slow to build or reticent to build apartments, lower income housing. And do you expect that to be a problem? Because West Knox County is still a desirable place for people to live. How do you think you'll confront that challenge with Farragut?
Well, we have a good relationship with Farragut. They have their Farragut.
They're a little better now, not so much a month ago.
But they have their Farragut Town Center. One of their concerns, and I get it, was traffic coming through Farragut. Obviously, I understand that. But there are some things happening there which are beneficial. But it really is. I kind of look at the east side of the county with Green Heck, with Midway Business Park, with East Bridge. There's just no place for people to live out there. So that's probably more of my concern. At the same time, we don't want it to turn into another Hardin Valley where we just have urban sprawl everywhere. We want that development to be confined to certain areas, and that's what we're trying to achieve with that. Per your question, Farragut, again, we have a good relationship with them. They've been doing some things I think are beneficial, but they also want to protect their way of life, and I certainly understand that.
I want to move to something else that you've had at the top of your agenda, that is emergency response from ambulance services. We saw that new contract with AMR, and we saw some evaluation recently at the county commission meeting. How would you assess AMR's performance over the last few months?
They're doing much better since the new contract went in place, and they should be, because the old contract, just like our land use policies, was very antiquated and outdated and no longer worked. That's how the old contract was. They've been able to hire more people. They have more ambulances on the road. The underlying issue, obviously, is the hospitals and being overwhelmed at their emergency department. We don't have anything to do with that. The hospitals are doing the best that they can. No one should blame them. Just like everyone else, they're suffering from workforce issues. People might point and say, oh, they have enough beds. It's not the beds that are the issue, it's the staffing. We are all working on that. We're all very aware of it. Things are much better. Are they perfect? No, but they're a lot better than they were this time last year.
They have numbers that they have to hit, as I understand it. They're getting close, but they're not quite there. When do you get impatient and use that 6'8" stature of yours and start imposing it upon them?
It's probably not the 6'8" stature as it is the financial penalties.
The wallet's bigger than 6'8".
Exactly.
Yes.
But again, the contract just went in place in February. One of the stipulations was that they would move dispatch to E911. That hasn't even fully occurred yet. So it's still relatively in its infancy. So both the 6'8" frame and the penalties for the wallet, we have to have a little more patience on that.
And remind our viewers, this budget, which is going to get passed and takes effect July 1, has money in there for them. How much is it?
All told, I believe it's around $2 million. That includes, we're paying for the E911 response before they paid for that themselves. That's just the case around the country, though.
Why don't we start moving to a county-based emergency management service versus a private?
When it comes to ambulance service?
Yes.
they're having the same problems in places that have municipal.
But you can have a little more
county-based.
control over a county-based one.
One of the great things about this was we did not have oversight before, like we should have.
Mm-hmm.
This one we do. We get the reports. We can tap into their system. We know much more what's going on. So in this case, it does give us more control than it did before.
Only about a minute.
And again, this is not a problem unique to Knox County. This is happening everywhere.
We've got to let you go shortly, Mayor, but let's just say you decided to run for governor. When might you make that announcement?
If I were to decide to do that, that would be next year. Early next year. A lot of things are going to change, though. November is really going to shake the chessboard up. So that's, I think, what everybody's focusing on at this point.
All right. And lastly, Joey Chestnut is the real deal.
Yeah, he is. 14 pounds of bologna in 8 minutes. Unbelievable.
Versus
when you said I did something that no other mayor's ever done, I thought that's what you were going to talk about. Eating 2 pounds of bologna in 8 minutes.
Yeah, nobody's ever eaten 2 pounds of bologna. Had 2 pounds of bologna as mayor.
But that was actually a great event. Had about 2,500 people there. Got some national media and put a spotlight on Knox County.
Appreciate it, Mayor. Thanks so much.
Thank you all so
We'll
very
be in
much.
touch, and we'll be back with our talk around right after this.